The next thing I'd like us to look at is the way Tanween of Idgham is written. And this is something that I had delayed till this time. When we recite the Quran, you notice that whenever a Tanween comes before letter of Idgham, the way the Tanween is written is usually very different from whenever it comes before letters of Al-Idhar. So I would like us to use these moments to look at them so that we pay attention. These are ways to just remind us, they are pointers to remind us of the need of observing the Rom so that we do not forget. If we look at the Fathatan, whenever it comes in contact with the letter of the Rom, the way it's written is not exactly equal. We see they're slantly placed beside each other. You see the Fathatan here, the next letter is Waw, and the Waw's letter of the Rom Bigunna. So you see the Fathatan there is not equal. Let's move further to look at another one, Shihab al-Rasada. Look at this Fathatan. When you compare it to this one, it's not equal. The reason for that is nothing other than the fact that later it comes in contact with is a letter of the Rom. So they did that to make you remember and wonder, to draw your attention to the fact that you have to observe something here. That's how the Fathatan of Idgham is written. Although this is not peculiar to only Idgham, we'll look at others when we get there, inshallah. As for Kasratan, you can see how equal Kasratan is meant to be. When we look at this Kasratan here, Yawma idhin na'ima, because the next letter is letter of Idgham, the Kasratans are not placed equally. Wa nafsin wa ma sawwaha, the same thing is applicable here because of this Waw. Then when we look at the Dhammatan, sometimes Dhammatan is usually written with double Dhamma, but at times it's written in such a way that the second one is inverted, which is kind of what we have here. But whenever the Dhammatan comes in contact with the letter of Idgham, the Dhammatan is written with a double Dhamma, clearly, as we have here. Qasamulli. The next letter is letter of Idgham, and the Dhammatan is written with, as we can see here, a double Dhamma, without an inverted one. While this one, Rasulum, you can see the double Dhammas. Why? Because we have letter of Idgham coming after it. And here we have Fathatan. You can see it's not equal. Why is that? That's because next letter is letter of Idgham. So these are things that are delayed till now just to serve as aid and as pointer for us. When we recite the Quran, these have been placed, strategically placed there for us to draw our attention to the fact that we need to observe these rulings. But how would we know if we do not learn these rulings in the first place, and then we now get to know what these signs mean when we recite the Quran? I would also use this opportunity to show us the examples of Al-Idhar, the Tanween of Al-Idhar, how the Tanween of Al-Idhar is being written. We know this how Tanween is meant to be. Let's look at when it comes in contact with a letter of Idhar. So when the Fathatan comes in contact with letter of Idhar, for instance, we have Ha here, we have letter Ha. This Tanween, as we can see, is equal. When we compare that with the Tanween of Idgham, we see the difference, right? Now, when we look at this again, we can see Fathatan here, equally written, equally placed. Why? Because the next letter is letter of Idhar. Whereas for Idgham, it's not equal. That's Fathatan. When we look at Kasratan as well, it's equal here because the next letter Kha is a letter of Idgham. When we look at this as well, it's equal here because the next letter is the letter of Idgham, which is Al-Ain. Then how about Dhammatan? Dhammatan, as I've said, can be written at times with one Dhamma and the second one being inverted. So if you look at this, for instance, this is Dhammatan, and that's written in that format because the next letter is Ha, which is letter of Idhar. Under Dhammatan here, that's written in that format because the next letter is letter of Ha, is letter of Idhar, which is letter Ha. So these are there to guide us that when we recite the Quran, we pay attention to these things. In case you've forgotten the alphabet, the publishers of the Quran we have today, out of their wisdom, place these signs there for us to remind us, just in case we are still at that stage where we struggle with remembering these letters. So let's not forget, for Idgham, the Fathatan and Kasratan are not equal when they come in contact with letters of Idgham. But for Idhar, the Fathatan and Kasratan are equal when they come in contact with letters of Idhar. While for Dhammatan, the Dhammatan of Idgham is a double Dhamma, clearly written one on top of the other when they come in contact with letters of Idgham. But for Idhar, it's one Dhamma and the second one inverted, as we have here, whenever they come in contact with letters of Idhar. Same thing we have here and the same thing we have here. So whenever we recite the Quran, as we go out there to recite the Quran, these are the things that help us to remember these rulings, and they are there for our own use. We ask Allah to make it easy for us. We ask Allah to make us people of the Quran. We ask Allah to bless us with the Tajweed of His book that says, وَرَتِّلِ الْقُرْآنَ تَرْتِيلًا. May Allah make us amongst those who recite the Quran with Tartil. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.